All right, guys, we are back. So we just did the homepage in the last video, and that's a very clean, just tell you to go log in, register, blah blah, So nothing to it. In this video, we're going to go ahead and start with the register, okay? And I know that's like, why the register, right? Well, you can't log in unless you register somebody, right? So you have to have at least a user in there in order to register. So let me show you first. Where's that thing at? Oh, in here. All right, so before we actually go in there, I want you to see what's going on here. So continue to the console, and now we have here that Firebase has all of these different modules here that you have access to, okay? So you basically have access to the authentication, the database, blah, 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 storage, a bunch of stuff. And if you look at their our config file, we are making use, no, not that config, okay? We are basically just working with our auth, right? Our auth file. So it's this one right here, the authentication. So let's go ahead and click on authentication here, so you see just to see what we're talking about, what we're working with. And let's go ahead and get started. So there are different methods that Firebase allows you to authenticate with in order to, to get the authentication process started. You could do it through email and password, which is the most common one. You could do it to anonymous, which basically just takes anybody. My cat. It just basically takes anybody, no matter what you put into the email file, email box, text field, all that stuff. Just I can't think of a reason why anybody will use that, but whatever. And then you can also use different providers such as Google, so you can just log in with your Google account, or Facebook, which is very common. A lot of people have seen this. Apple, GitHub, blah, 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 blah. All right, so we're going to use the email and password for these purposes right here, because I want you, the Google one and all of that stuff is really easy. It's just gonna ask you to just basically put in your account information for, and then that's it, right? But the email and password is gonna be the one mostly you're going to be using in a more professional environment. So we're gonna do that one instead. So I'm gonna click on that, and then it's gonna enable it here. And don't worry about this, because this is going to ask you to log in without a password, which means it's going to send a link to your email, and then in your email it's going to ask you to verify some stuff. So we're not going to do all of that. We're just going to do it with email, password, and call it done. And go ahead and save that, and bam, 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 done. All right, so now if we go to the users tab over here, you're going to see here that there is a database table in here. And you can add a user. You can just come over here and manually add a user with an email and a password, add user, and bam, he's done, right? But we're not gonna do that manually. However, you could, let's say for example, you have some problems with a user not being able to create their own account. I don't know, for some reason something happened. Maybe someone who's not very very savvy with computers, and he can figure it out. It happens. Then at least that you can come over here and just do it manually. But we're not gonna do that. What we're gonna do is we're gonna use our register page right here for the user to be able to register themselves and add themselves to an account. And then once they register themselves, they can be redirected to the login page, so they can log in after they created the account. In Okta, we didn't have to do this page, because Okta created all of the registrations for you out of the box. Okay, so this is why at the very beginning of this entire series, we saw that in the in between Okta and Firebase, Okta was the easiest one. I think this is part of why they made that decision. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with creating a form for registering it. So by looking at the screen, I know that I have to have an email and a password, right? So this right here is a dead giveaway of what you need in order to create a registration, right? You need an email and a password. So let's get started. So I'm gonna open my register page that I had previously already created, and that is basically right now just giving me a register thing there. And we're gonna start adding some stuff in here. First, let's just build the actual page itself. So I'm gonna try to go a little faster on this because I don't want to explain. So I'm just gonna cut and paste from my notes, and then if I'm going too fast, just pause the video. Make sure that I'm bringing the grid, the container, box, button, text field, card, typography, and alert. These are all elements of Material UI and components inside Material UI and elements that I will be using in my page. And then I'm going to grab this entire return, and I'm going to replace it here and then talk about it. Okay. So what am I doing here is I am basically just putting in, my box here, my magical container in there, and the actual container is going to be there just so that it's centered in the page. Then I'm giving it a login page name to the page, which I name H1 tag, and then I'm putting a card in the very center right here, which is going to have an outline and a little bit of padding, just something to define a perimeter, basically. Inside there, I'm going to have a heading on the card on the top that's going to be aligned to the center, and it's going to say signing at the top of the screen. Okay, this is going to be similar looking to the one that we created in Okta, but not exactly the same. It's going to be similar. All right. Now inside there, I'm going to have a div just to wrap everything together, and then inside that div, I'm going to have this grid right here, which is a component from Material UI that allows you to do some responsiveness and stuff like that, and make sure that everything is centered and good stuff. Basically, the grid has different props, such as like how do you want to align it, how do you want to justify it, how do you want it to be, whether in a column like that or row in a row, and the full width, because I wanted to actually get an entire full width of my container. Okay, now in there I have this error right here, which I will explain later what it does. So for right now, I am just going to get rid of it, and I'm going to get rid of it from in here as well. But what I'm going to do here, what I want you to write here is, this is an error message. Okay, just write that for right now. And I'm just gonna put that in there like that, and then in here I have a grid for my text field, and let's go back to this in a second, and then another one for my password in here, and then another one for my button that is gonna have a handle login function on that click event, and then at the very bottom it's gonna have basically just a piece of text that says, hey, you don't need to, if you don't need to sign in, right? If you already have an account, they just basically just go to the register page and register instead, right? Wait, if you need an account, sorry. What am I here? This is the login page. This is the login page. I am in the wrong place. All right, so my apologies. So the login and the register page are actually very, very, very close together. So let's just all right, let's see what I did here. Let me go ahead and grab this entire box and move it and do this one instead. All right, I apologize for that. I kind of messed that up completely. I copied from the wrong my wrong notes, but everything is exactly the same. A box with a container, and then an H1 tag which says new user instead of login, or you can just say register user. I think that makes more sense. Register user, and then I got my card, which I already explained, and then I have an H2 tag for my thing that says sign up, because we're creating a new user. I already explained that. Then a div to wrap everything up, and then this error page, this error message, which we are going to modify later, but I'm going to explain it what it is, and I'm going to build it, and then it'll make more sense. This is an error, so put that in for now. All right, and wait until I finish with all of this to pause. That way you don't have to delete this stuff, okay? All right, so this value email, let's just delete that for now, and then this, let's just delete that for now. Let's delete this as well, and let's delete this right here. And then I'm going to need to bring in, okay, so this basically is gonna say at the bottom, if you have already an account, then you don't need to register. You can just go to the login page and log in there. So, but we are going to need the link from the React router dump for it to not fail at that point. All right, so now that I'm here, let me go ahead and save and make sure that it runs before I tell you to pause. Great, this is what I was looking for. I was looking for a page that says register user, sign up, and then it has an error message that is going to be displayed here. If something goes wrong with the form, this message is going to change. And then I have my place where I can write my email, a place where I can write my password, my sign up button, and if I already have an account and I don't need to sign up, then I have a link here that takes me to the login page, and it does take me to the login page because it's using the link component from the React router domain DOM. So go ahead and pause it if you have to, and make sure that you type all of this inside there. Just move down a little more. There you go. Pause it and just finish it up the bottom right there. Done. All right, cool. So now that you're done with all that stuff, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the first thing I'm going to be doing here is let's create I'm gonna create some of this functions here, and then we're going to create a actually, you know what, instead of creating this, instead of going through all of this, let's create then the login page as well, and then or let's just actually cut it off here. That way we can keep this modular. How about that? Because I know you're probably wondering, yeah, but I want to get this page to work, right? I want to at least create a user, but I don't want you to do that yet, because in order to do that, we have to create another file that is going to be a common helper file that is going to help us add functionality to a bunch of different places. So instead of creating that now, it's going to keep it convoluted. So let's just make sure that we keep this as modular as we can. So this is it, and then we'll jump on the next one and create the login page, and then we'll start doing all the stuff. All right, trust me, it'll make more sense this way. I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't go away.